years. And
I see
I'm
Mark.
not sure what he's doing with that.
That's what
He
we're
had
going?
told me he was gonna put
So that's just gonna work. So
but I'm
you got
not
it?
sure.
Press the play button whenever you're ready. If that's better for you.
Okay.
Okay, this is the Albemarle County Board of Equalization meeting for Monday, June 16th, 2025. My name is Bob Beard. I'm the vice chair sitting in for Evan Mayo, who is absent today. And why don't we go down the row and everybody introduce themselves.
Frank Friedman, Rio District.
Bill Howard, Jack Jewett, District.
Bob Beard, Samuel Miller District.
David Mitchell, Whitehall.
David Norfolk, Ravenna.
And the County Assessor's Office.
Billy Taylor, Deputy Assessor.
Peter Lynch, County Assessor.
James Shelley, appraiser.
Thanks, Jim.
Deb Collier, commercial appraiser.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. I think our first order of business is approving the minutes.
Oh, actually, I don't think I ever got those out to you.
Oh,
Yeah, so
We
the
shall-
copy that you have is the template for today.
okay.
But we haven't had a chance because of the issues going on to actually finalize the minutes.
Okay. So we shall.
We can do those next meeting.
We'll do that another time.
Yeah.
So our first hearing is actually hearing number 2, application 24, Route 29 LLC.
No, that's the one that's withdrawn. The first two have been withdrawn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we're starting with,
Oh,
Number
here-
24 is correct.
oh, I'm sorry, that was,
It's number-
I'm
it's just
confusing.
number
Route
Yeah,
20.
yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Application number 24, Route 29 LLC, United Land Corporation. PID number 10059. And we're going to swear everybody in. If you could raise your right hand. If you're going to, thank you.
Oh, hold on just a second. Okay, Jim's ready.
I do not.
We don't have to.
I don't have a template for this, but yes, if you don't mind, that'd be great. Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And so we'll begin with the applicant. If you go ahead and talk about what you'd like. Thank you.
I am totally unorganized right at the moment. Could we start with the other one and end up with this one, please?
Sure.
Do you mind if we
Yeah.
do that?
Which
I
one
really
do you want to
appreciate
start
it.
with?
It doesn't matter, any of the other ones.
Oh, okay.
Anything but that
Okay.
one. Okay.
I left this one at the office, and so
Oh.
she just emailed it to me, and I needed to go over it again. So, yeah, if we could just start with any of the other ones, we're good.
So how about application number 25?
Okay?
And 26.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, 25.
25 and 26 are related.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They're,
25 and
I
26.
believe.
Route 29
No,
LLC.
That's not 20, that's 26.
PID number 4744 and 4735?
4756.
475, okay.
25 and 26.
Okay.
So 25, and so just before we get started, 25 and 26 are the ones that we discussed last year where we're reducing the value because, by a percentage, because the sewer line doesn't have the capacity and we're waiting for the sewer line to be brought up.
Right.
So it's the same issue, I believe, for both of these.
Yeah, nothing's changed. I think the county has gotten 2 more easements out of the 25. I think they're up to 14 maybe. We spoke with Jeremy about something else and just haven't asked about this. They think they've got 2 more that the people are going to sign, they just haven't signed. So, I mean, we haven't moved forward at all. So, in our eyes, we have a piece of property that can't be developed. And it's been that way for at least 5 years.
I mean, we can't do anything. We'll see.
How long before the sewer might get there?
Well, they've been telling us for the last 5 years, it was in the CIP, and we're still in a holding pattern. They don't even have all their easements.
There's, the service authority's having a problem getting all the easements from Forest Lakes residents, that we have given ours. But they just are having, I mean, we understand, but it's getting to, Jeremy knows we're frustrated, and I think Peter's frustrated. He'd like to tax us more. But they're working on it, and at some point, I think they're gonna have to come down, but they just obviously don't want it. That's not the route they normally want to go.
If I remember correctly, last year they changed the schedule, which made us adjust the
Yes.
reduction schedule. Have they changed the schedule again? Is there a new?
You know, we,
I-
say when we talk to him,
Jeremy sent a letter, I believe. Did Jeremy send you a letter, Peter?
An email, yes.
Because Jeremy knew that this was coming up. 2027, 2028, I mean, we're going out to 2029 for construction. They're still saying they want to begin in 2027.
So he hasn't changed the schedule yet.
Yeah. 14 of 24 easements. Productive talks with Ken.
If I could ask a question, Bill and I are on the Board of Equalization for the first time. So we weren't here last year when this was discussed. And was this approach agreed upon last year? Where did it stand at the end of last year? And what is different today?
Okay,
Let's,
I
let's,
can-
hear from the assessor's office
Okay.
about.
Are you done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't have sewer, I view that I'm still in the same place I was last year.
Okay.
in the
And
same
then,
place
then
we
we'll
were
just
5 years
explain the
ago.
difference.
Can you explain?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm coming in the middle of a
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I missed the
Okay.
beginning.
Okay. So first of all, we valued this property as developable land. So we provide information as to how we come up with the value in the first place. But then, because of this sewer line situation and the time frame in which it is scheduled to be done, we reduce the value as we go backwards, kind of the time value of money calculation, so that this year, we've reduced what would be the full value if you could develop it right now. We reduce it by 46% downward to reflect the time it would take to get to when they can actually develop it. And what happened last year is that the amount, basically the discount rate that we were using, which I believe was 18%, yes.
Was increased.
The board in the conversation said, we think that it should be higher, so use 22.5%. And so we recalculated the schedule based on 22.5%. So last year, being another year away from the scheduled time period, was actually 56%, as you see in the schedule.
Yeah.
So the value last year was based on 56% reduction. This year is based on 46% reduction. So we're using the same schedule that was discussed last year. We didn't adjust that. We just brought it up 1 year because it's 1 year closer to that scheduled completion. So Jeremy appeared last year and
Was not able to do so this year.
he wasn't able to do so this year,
Provided
but
the
he
email.
did provide information on, yes, they have to get easements. That's a normal part of this process. It's mainly getting the money into the budget, or having it in their schedule at least, for putting into those fiscal year budgets that are gonna be affected by this. And according to his letter, we are on track for that, and none of this is guaranteed. And that's basically what his letter says.
So is the applicant saying that the 46% should be revised based on new information?
I don't believe that I should be being charged what I'm being charged. I can't sell the property. I can't do anything with the property. So in not worth anything. So now, I mean, it's a park. I mean, that's all it can be. Nothing can be built on it. So, and I know that in the future, it will be something, once I get sewer. But if I don't get sewer, it's a park. And that's all it is. So if, I'm sitting here paying taxes on something that I can't do anything with, and then they wanna raise my taxes more. And I just don't, I'm willing to pay my, believe me, we pay our fair share. I'm willing to pay it when I can use it. But nothing has changed from last year, zero. Nothing has changed other than that we went 365 days. Nothing has changed. They haven't gotten any closer. So I don't think that, and fair is not a great word, but it's not right to charge me more money when nothing's changed. They're already getting more money. They raised the rate. I mean, come on, people. I mean, when we move forward and they start construction, then, okay. When the service authority actually starts construction of this job, we know what's going to go in the ground, then charge me some more money. But when nothing has changed, I mean, maybe he's got one more easement in a year, still didn't change the process. He's still got 12 to go or something.
Let me ask a question to help refresh my memory. If I remember correctly, might be wrong about this, when we did this last year, the schedule of reduction had been in place previously, but because the proposed date when the sewer line was going to be constructed had gotten moved further away than what it was originally, then we modified that.
That is correct.
That's good.
We changed the time period also. We restarted it.
Right, so now, Jeremy's not saying that he's pushed it out farther than what we talked about last year, is he? I don't think he is.
That is correct.
So nothing really changed since last year.
Nothing has changed except we're still moving along the timeline that was
Right,
established.
but I mean, in other words, we changed it last year because they had pushed out the date.
That is
They
correct.
haven't pushed the date out any further.
That is correct.
That's what I thought, I remember.
Yeah, and I don't really agree with the property. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the applicant's asking for. Is the property not worth anything at all at this point? Because that is, I believe, an absurd statement. Just because what they plan to do can't be done right now. Deb, remind me of the property. There's a property, I think it was bought by Breeden, that can't be, also is on the same trunk line,
Yeah.
can't be developed, but it's sold for
The mobile home park.
a lot of money.
But
Bringing
wait,
in income.
wait, that's right, that's producing income.
It
We are
has
not
some
producing
income on it,
income. No, I'm
but
gonna overspeak here, and I know this probably is detrimental to me. But that is income producing.
Not even in the rent.
property.
It's an interim.
I have a piece of
It's
property
Yeah.
that produces zero.
Yeah.
It costs me money to own it every day. And you all are raising my taxes and I cannot use it.
Your elected officials are raising your taxes.
We are increasing the value and we intend to continue to increase the value until this is developed. And because of the schedule. I mean, I don't know what the base rates are gonna do in the
Right,
next
so
5
what,
years.
I'm gonna, so then, because we don't know the future.
But the
If I knew the
reduction is
future, I
gonna
would be sick.
reduce as we get further along. So, I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. The board just needs to make a decision on that. We are absolutely in disagreement as to the fact this property has value. And, you know, they own a lot of properties that they aren't developing right now. They're just holding on to them to the opportunity when they can, you know, basically sell it for a lot of money and then, or develop it and sell the parts for a lot of money. So, I mean, it comes down to, they want a reduction in taxes and.
I don't think you should say a lot of
and this-
money, I think you should say for market value.
For,
That's a little bit of
That's my business.
a loaded word.
And it's been my family's business for
I
60 years in this
don't,
community.
I don't disagree.
I gotta tell you, we adjusted it because, I think where Dave was going here. We adjusted it based on the schedule that Surf Starter gave us. When they changed the schedule again, I think you're right to come in here and ask for a modification. Yeah. maybe next year they'll adjust the schedule. You know, y'all know how this works.
Well, you know, I'd like to say something in response to Pete. Yes, Breeden bought a piece of property that's producing a very good income. They bought it for that reason, not to go in and redevelop it right away as an apartment complex. They probably will, but they bought it as an operating mobile home park, so that has nothing to do with this. Yes, we buy a lot of land and a lot of land that is unzoned, and we speculate on property. But we pay taxes based on that we speculate, so we can afford to pay the taxes until we get it zoned, until we get it site planned. But this has been going on for 5 years. I never understood the 5-year program that Pete did before, but we accepted it because we thought surely the Service Authority would at least have this line done within 5 years, which is what we were told 5 years ago. It was in the CIP, it was gonna be done, da-da-da-da-da. Hunter even volunteered, and you can speak more to this, to go in and replace all of the manholes, so we would, manhole covers rather, so we would have sewer because there's so much,
Well,
seepage, degradation, I don't know what the word is for it.
But it's just,
We have
it's
tried
I'm being
everything.
held hostage by a government agency that's not doing their job, in my opinion.
You know,
They can go and condemn this land. They don't want to, understand they don't want to, but I can't control them. I have asked and I've asked, yet I'm being penalized. And Pete, yes, the property does have value. I mean, now come on. But it's not, I cannot sell that property today for what you have it appraised
No.
at, period.
not even close to it. Well, I mean, nobody would
Nobody
buy
is
a
going
property
to
today
buy
without utilities. You're not gonna buy a property without utilities. And
So the property that we're talking about, that's the mobile home park.
that's
You
not
know,
the property,
I
that's an
don't-
indirect conversation.
I don't think that, you know, it's probably accurate to say what the motivation of Breeden was when they bought that property. I can't tell you what their motivation was, but I know that they do have an interim use going on there with the mobile home park. They have the same issue with the sewer line, and we do not reduce their value by 46% based on the fact that they have.
Are you
those issues.
assessing theirs as an income producing property?
We're assessing theirs at the land value. The income producing property does not
It's
meet,
interim use,
does
it's not
not,
the highest.
the income they get does not bring it up to the value of the land.
Well, I will say, we had other offers when we sold the mobile home park from people who are mobile home park operators across the United States. We had offers from them at the same price that Breeden paid. So I'm not so sure that Breeden was so speculative. He just built the 300 and some apartments. He knew he was not gonna be doing anything there. Yes, for the future, just like we speculate, but you can't be taxed like you can use it, and you can't. And 5 years ago, we certainly believed we could use it. So, like I say, I never understood Pete's 5-year program, but I went along with it because I thought, well, we'll have sewer. The Service Authority has rules that they're supposed to have this sewer ready by now, but they don't. They don't. What is it, Hunter, at 80%, they're supposed to have?
Supposed to be developed, supposed to be having
Yeah.
planned, at 90% it's supposed to be in construction.
And so,
Or
you
if
know,
it's 80 and 90%.
Capacity of the line. So I had to upgrade, when Breeden bought the land to put the apartment complex, I had to upgrade 700 feet of that line because they were saying it was technically above 80% flow rate at peak times. And at peak times to them is on a heavy downpour rain. The manhole thing comes into play because they're saying they get seepage in manholes. I told Jeremy, I'll give you $30,000 to buy O-ring sealed manholes, and we'll put those on and reduce your max flow at the rate. It's a lot cheaper than upgrading those lines. So, I mean, this is what I've done my whole life. I put pipes in the ground and water and sewer. So they're not, they're crap numbers, but it's what they have to follow. And I like Jeremy. I've worked with him for 35 years. Worked with his dad, worked with numerous people up there out in the field, but they are not doing their job. And Pete, I don't know how I solved that problem, but they're not doing their job. If I knew that they were starting construction on that, I wouldn't be sitting here today. If I knew that line was being started today, it was working on the ground, I would not be sitting in here fighting this tax bill right now, because I knew that I can then sell this property, and whether I can sell it or I can build it out myself. I'm here today because nothing has been done, and I feel that I'm being punished for everybody else sitting on their hind legs, which are controlling me. Sorry, I get a little upset, but it's a lot of money.
Does anybody have any more questions? Please.
I guess I'm still trying to understand why this 5-year plan that was developed last year is no longer in effect. Or why the applicant is saying it's no longer in effect.
I'm asking that it's not in effect because nothing's changed.
But is the schedule for the construction the same? Are they saying it's still on schedule?
Yes.
Well, they haven't said it one way or the other. We did not ask that
I did
question.
not ask that
When we
question.
spoke to Jeremy last week, we simply said, how are you coming? And he said, And, you know, I asked
He was
about
very honest
easements.
with me.
And I think they've gotten 2 since a year ago this time. And then there's one that they know is a dig hole out, that they're probably gonna have to go to court with. So, you know, like I say, I didn't understand the 5-year plan 5 years ago, but I really don't understand it today, because we're
So
in
even- so
exactly the
basically,
same position.
We've got a plan that if the service authority says, we can't do this line,
If they say it's pushed a year,
then I get a reduction.
Yeah.
But if the county says, the service authority says, we can't do this line, in 5 years, I'm gonna be taxed like I can develop that property. And I can't.
Well, I think if they push the timeline back like they did last year, if they push that timeline back again next year, then we could revisit this, but right now, nothing's changed since last year.
But you increased the value unbelievably. I mean, I don't have the percentage
that's
of
a
it.
combination of the base rates going up and a change from 56 to 46%, right? It's a
Yeah, I
combination
don't know
of
if
the
the base
base
rate
rate.
changed.
Base rate didn't change.
So it's just the 10%?
Just the 10%.
It's just, yeah, it's just the schedule that was already in
Well,
place.
just is a lot of money.
You're right. I apologize. I chastised him for using the wrong word. I'll say it increased 10%.
So, I'm not sure Nina was looking at you guys when she said you guys raised the value. Just want to get clear. We raised the value.
I understand.
Hunter said that, not me.
So, and I would like to ask one question. The application says no sewer capacity, owner estimate of fair market value, blank, blank, blank.
It's hard to put a value.
Do you
on
have a
it.
value, a suggested value for either of these properties?
Well, I could work on it and probably come up with one very soon, because like I said,
That-
we buy property
No, I'm
and
sorry.
speculate on that.
This is it. There's no variation.
Yeah.
This is the hearing. There was time, actually, you're required to put a value on that application, but
Well, Pete, this is kind of an unusual circumstance.
Yeah.
I don't think this
it's
is.
unusual, but we need to make a decision right now.
Well, the put value is 0 because I can't sell it.
Okay, that is exactly what I said a minute
That's
ago. The
ridiculous.
property's
I mean,
not
I know
worth
that's,
that,
I know that's
which
ridiculous.
I think is an absurd.
But I can, yeah, can I sell it for 2,000 an acre? Sure.
Let's value it like you're doing 2019. We're here on 2019 as well. That is, let's value it like 2019.
Because it hasn't changed.
Nothing can be done with
I
it.
don't even know what the value is.
2019 can at least have a house site on it. So let's value it like 2019, parcel 20, tax map 20, parcel 19.
Oh, we don't have access.
Does the board need what it needs, to have what it needs to make a decision?
I guess one more question. If the adjustment stayed at 56% rather than going to 46%,
Right.
would the value be the same, would the assessment be the same this year as last year?
I believe so, because the rate didn't change.
The base rate.
The rate, let me understand that.
The
So
base rate.
Okay.
this is our base rate, and then we make adjustments based on, not
Okay.
we, they make adjustments based on closeness to the road, you know, the usual stuff.
Right. Well, that's not where we would like to be, but I think we would probably accept that. I just think we've been penalized for 5 years, and now we're continuing to be penalized. And like I say, we pay a lot of taxes to this county, and this one is just a unique situation. I think a lot of developers would have sued the service authority for now, but we do too much work in this county. And so that's not something we want to do. It costs an arm and a leg, but I think we would win based on their own regulations. But still, that's not something we want to do, but we've just been totally penalized, and our hands have been totally tied for the last 5 years, and looks like they're going to be tied for several more years. So we would appreciate any consideration, because this is just a tough situation.
So we, of course, don't believe it should be changed at all because we are already getting a reduction, a huge reduction to the value based on full market value. And that they're already getting that, and I don't think there's real support for any kind of reduction based on the information provided by the sewer authority.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Are we going to do 25 and 26 together, or are we doing?
You probably should do a motion for 25 and then for 26, even if they're the same motion.
Okay, do we have a motion for application number 25?
I'll make a motion that we affirm the assessor's assessment at $2,479,500, with the caveat that in the future, if the timeline changes officially on the sewer line, we'll revisit this next year.
So,
Can I do that or not?
well, this board has no control over any year but this year,
Okay.
the current year. And I can just tell you that if we are given information from the sewer authority that the schedule has changed, we're gonna change it.
Okay.
We don't need to come back here to
All right,
discuss it.
well, I'll take the last part
We're
out
gonna
then.
change that anyway.
I'll take the last part of my motion out.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of affirming the assessment on application number 25, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed?
No,
No?
I abstain.
Oh, okay. Okay, so application number 25 is affirmed. And do we have a motion on application number 26?
Is there anything differentiating 26 from 25? Any information?
Same story.
But one of them is-
Oh, yeah.
In that case, I'll make the same motion that we affirm the assessor's assessment on application number 26 at $851,300.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain? One abstention. Okay, application number 26 is affirmed.
So if we don't move the schedule next year, I'm gonna go up another 22%. We wonder why people can't afford homes in this community.
I'll tell you the same thing I told you last time. You need to file a site plan. You gotta push it. You need to file a site plan and push it. I understand it's gonna cost money once it's in the site plan eventually.
I'm going for a rezoning right
I'm
now.
just giving you advice.
I'm going
You don't
for-
have to take it.
I'm going for a
Alright.
rezoning
It's fine.
right now, so.
But
Well-
not on these parcels.
Okay, we're going to move on to application number 27.
Are we gonna do the?
If you wanna do-
the pond
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Are you ready to do that one?
Yeah.
Number 24.
That's fine.
Just 'cause it's in the-
Pond is very intriguing.
Let's move on to application number 24. Route 29 LLC United Land Corporation PID number 10059. And if you guys would like to talk about this as well, thank you.
Wherever you wanna go.
And been assessed at $100, it's a stormwater pond, only thing it is. And it went from $100 for the past, I don't know how long, to $3,900, which their calculations on here is a 3,800% increase. I just think that's, I'm sorry, but it's $3,800, it's ridiculous. Stormwater pond, I understand it serves a purpose, but
It's been $100
the land
since it was
doesn't,
built.
land doesn't.
And we'll hear from the assessor.
This is 3.942 acres. It's currently assessed at $3,900. The parcel's zoned planned development mixed commercial, and it's currently assessed as a residual land with a value of $1,000 per acre. We had it assessed at $100 previously. We made a correction for the 2025 assessment to correct and equalize it with other similar parcels. On page 2, I have a list of other similar parcels that are also assessed at $1,000 per acre. That's how we arrived at this value.
And I'd just add that, you wouldn't be able to develop the shopping center without this area to do the stormwater. It's an integral part of just being able to develop the land, so it has some value. And we're not talking about a lot of value, 3,900 compared to 100. And in the past, what we did this year was we identified some parcels in which we just had this overridden $100 value that really should have, all the properties that have limited use like this should have all been assessed the same way with this minimal rate based on size, but not a minimal value of $100. So that's why it changed from 100 to 3,900.
Is it legal to go up 3,800%? I mean, we're not talking about the
I'm not
dollars.
sure if that's a rhetorical question or
I
not.
mean, we're not talking about the dollars, but I question, is it legal to go up 3,800%?
If
I mean,
that's
what
a
if this
real
was $1
question,
million?
then we could have changed it 1,000,000%, and there's no legal limit to the amount of change. But we didn't, of course. There is no limit to the amount of change of any property. It's based on market value. We believe that we are at market value on this parcel, no matter how minimal it is. It's still, we consider that market value.
So the value of this thing is for the benefit of the other parcel
That is correct.
that drains into it.
Correct.
That pulls back to I can't use.
And then, so really the $3,800 increase should come out of the parcels that drain from it. I know this is.
Depending on how their value is calculated.
But it serves these other parcels.
It does. It does.
It has to go along.
So prior to
with the
this
other
year,
parts.
that theoretical value is in the parcels being served. And now
Correct,
you're
but-
transferring that value to an independent parcel.
But
So you ought
those-
to take that money out.
But those parcels, actually, the next one we're gonna be talking about, I believe, is the parcel being served. And we're gonna discuss how there's a lot of extra value in that shopping center with all the land that's not being used yet. And so this supports that too, and that land is by the cost approach, so you don't take value out of the cost approach. You would include it if there was an income approach used, and that would not be. So if you're talking about a cost approach, you're talking about all the land that's valued based on its value. If you're talking about an income approach, if there was a component of land that was included in getting the income for that income approach, then It would be a part of that value, and you would deduct it, but not with the cost approach. So
Who
we're,
maintains this basin?
Um,
Who maintains the basin?
We do.
We do, and then the agreement, Cole's parcel pitches in, and then, it's not Regency now.
You don't have an association, you just have a
We just have an
I
agreement.
know, yeah.
shared cost.
Yeah, just an area.
This parcel has to go along with the development.
It has to
Yes.
go along with currently, 3 or 4 different owners.
Does it drain the Harris Teeter?
It drains the Harris Teeter, it drains,
Probably doesn't drain the Target.
it drains.
The bridge is the Harris Teeter south, right?
Drains up to, I think, the Panera Bread, used to be Panera. It drains all of Burkmar Drive, the ridge, and then everything to the east of it. Very large, because the time the county wanted regional ponds, and so everybody chipped in, built that pond.
Anybody have any other questions?
I don't know.
Do we have a motion? So are other storm water ponds like this being increased from 100 to,
if they weren't already at the $1,000 per acre, then they would have been increased. That's correct. That was part of the problem. Some of them were already at the $1,000 per acre, this one was not.
And how do you actually come to that number? Not
Those-
just because everything else was 1,000, but how do you get to 1,000?
Well, based on these, oh, wait, this is the, before I say that, this marginal land, these aren't sales, these are just other assessments, right?
Right, correct.
Ultimately, it's based on these residual parcels and how much they sell for. We haven't provided that information in this application.
But you can't, but this parcel can't be sold separately, right?
No, it could be sold separately, but whoever bought it would have to be subject to the management agreement, I would imagine.
It's gonna buy stormwater.
If someone buys the shopping center, they pretty much have to buy the pond.
That's
Someone's not gonna
right.
come in and buy the pond
Yeah.
and not,
That's what I'm asking, that's why I'm trying to figure out how to get to that, how you put a value or something like that.
it's a necessity, I will agree, it's a necessity for the shopping center, but it is not a standalone piece of property. So basically, I guess how we view it is, whoever buys the shopping center, part of that gets the 3-acre pond for free. Like that, like they have to have it, so there's really, it's kind of how, and maybe I'm viewing it wrong.
The easements over this are tied to all the parcels.
That's
in
right.
the circle.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean,
So it's kind of like you buy this and you get this for free, even though you have to have it.
and all your other parcels, you've gone through and changed these to $1,000 an acre.
Anything that we've been able to find, and I'm not gonna say that we didn't miss any, but
When
yes,
did you start changing?
this year.
time, I guess this was recorded, this was probably platted well before you got here.
Probably, yes. You know, if you remember, there was a hearing last year for Claddagh Holdings, in which there were some non-developable parcels that were only done as residual land, and kind of we had a long conversation about those. That's what started this review. We went through and checked all residual type land parcels at that time, whether it was commercial relating to this or whether it was a residential property. And we, you know, made sure that anything that was given a certain code was changed so that it was done differently, so it was done correctly. Because not that the Claddagh ones were done wrong, it's that some of the comparable properties that they raised had been done like this originally, and they were using those for comparables. So we went through and adjusted everything so they were all done the same way. And this is one of those.
So this is about making it consistent.
Yes.
So all retaining ponds, all over the, like, commercial properties, $1,000 an acre, is that?
If they're, yeah, I mean, if they're part of the same property, they're already done that way.
I mean-
If this is just unusual, I think, because it's a separate parcel. Not all of them are gonna be the same like this.
North Point, they've gotta have a retention pond somewhere.
They do.
What's that valued at?
I can't look that up right now, but I'm assuming it's very similar. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, because I know in North Point, any of the unusable land, we did $1,000 per acre.
Anybody have any more questions? Do we have a motion?
I don't have a good handle on this one.
Well, I will move that we affirm the assessor's assessment at $3,900 for application number 24, PID 10059. Does that make sense?
I'll second.
Second, okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Abstain?
Yep, abstain? Okay. Thank you. Now we need to go to application number 27. Is that the correct one?
That is correct.
Hopefully.
And this-
Property owner Route 29 LLC, PIN number 4735. The address is 340 and 341 Town Center Lane.
I don't think we,
I thought we didn't appeal that one.
I thought we,
No.
We have the
Yes,
application
I did
now.
not bring anything with me, Deb. Can you share with me what you got?
Sure.
Because I didn't bring anything. I thought we ended up not appealing that. Oh, no, we did. We did simply because our rent did not go up and our assessment went up 10.5%. And we just view that a 10.5% increase, when your rent doesn't go up to support it, that's where we're coming from on that one.
I'm sorry, if you're ready for us to go ahead and go through.
Please go ahead.
So this is a retail shopping center property that was built in 2012. It's up on Town Center Boulevard, just south of the Harris Teeter and north of Kohl's. The land area that it supports the existing improvements is 3.512 acres, and the remaining excess land is 11.813 acres. And that's, can have its own separate highest and best use. It's not needed to support the existing improvements. So we value that separately. On page 2, we have a map of showing the land area that's supporting the existing improvements, and then the surrounding excess land. The land that's supporting the improvements is in yellow. The assessment for the subject property today is $13,414,400. That was effective January 1. The owner's requesting a reduction to $12 million. We have had an issue with trying to provide estimates of income and expenses for this center because they do not provide itemized income and expense details. So we don't get a lot of information. What was provided to us is on page 3. So what we've done is estimate it, and by establishing market rent to equalize it with other properties. And so we used retail rents within a mile of the subject property, as well as their reimbursements to establish a market rent for the property. And the property reported a subject vacancy was 26.9%. We used extraordinary vacancy based on our retail shopping center model of 15% that has been applied to gross potential income for 2025. The operating expenses we've estimated based on $8.80 per square foot, inclusive of a 4% management fee, which is also part of our model. So this is results in $223,027 in expenses compared to the $91,400 that was reported by the owner. We use, based on our model, a replacement reserve of 4% of effective gross income for replacement reserves. That equates to $32,227, bringing us to net operating income of $550,431. This is a grade 2 property based on the shopping center model, and the cap rate is 7.5%, resulting in a value of $7,339,100 for the shopping center and the land that supports it. And on page 5 is a copy of our shopping center income form where the calculations were made. The excess land is valued separately. That's 11.813 acres. It's zoned planned development mixed commercial. It's located in the APRDC, which is Airport Road District Commercial Assessing District. And so we've considered all of the sales transactions from the district, including improved sales, where the value of the improvements can be extracted from the total sale price to arrive at a value for the land. The base rate for highway commercial land in this district has been equalized at $30 per square foot based on the sales. The median adjusted base rate for the sales, which is on page 7, is $35.88 per square foot. We've adjusted the excess land parcel for size at a multiplier of 40%. That brings the base rate down to $12 per square foot at 514,574 square feet. The value of the excess land as of January 1, 2025 was $6,174,900. Site improvements consist of 78,900 square feet of asphalt paving. We have depreciated site improvements of $170,300. So the value of the income approach of the land and improvements by the income approach, and the value of the excess land, including the site improvements, totals $13,414,400.
So I just want to point out that when you're talking about an income approach, it only includes those parts of the property that have income. So all this excess land, the reason why we calculate an income approach on the shopping center section, and we provide in the packet the general area that retail that exists would cover to support that retail. All of the rest of the land is just excess land, as if it was another parcel that was not getting any income. So you have the income approach on the improved shopping center plus extra land that covered that, and then cost approach for the land it's not really cost approach, the sales comparison approach to determine the value of the excess land that is to be developed in the future.
This is the shopping center that goes with the retention pond we were just talking about.
It's one of the properties that is supported by that retention pond, correct?
And I have another question about, in the last paragraph, the summary. Subject assessment was entered into Vision Camera system at $13,414,400. Is that, was it just a typo for $100,000?
It was, yes,
So you went with the lower value just because of that?
correct.
Yeah, was it input error?
That is correct.
Okay.
The actual calculated value, that is correct. The
I didn't know
calculated
what
value is
that
a little bit
meant.
higher than that.
Okay.
That's right. That's why, and we wanted to explain why our income, or our total calculation of 13,514,000 was not the value that we actually have on the property.
Would the applicant like to respond?
Yes, and I'd like, Deb, I'm talking about the rental, the actual rental numbers, and I take exception to a little bit of what you said. We do provide the actual rental numbers. However, we do not break down our expenses. We have a lot of properties that we maintain. So we put it all in one account, and then we try to divide it out based on, the size of the center and various things like that. But, we'd have to have an accountant come in if we had to break down for every location that we had. We do it all, and so it's one number, and then I try to break it out the best I can to appropriate it to the size of the property that we have. But we do provide all of the rental numbers. And I have down that we have, the average rent on this center is $19.89 a square foot. The county has estimated rent at $31.79 a square foot. I don't have my entire file with me right now, so Deb may have to correct me or add to what I'm saying. So, plus our vacancy rate has been really a lot higher than what the county has. But we have given our exact rent. That's no deviation on that.
Was it triple net?
Yes.
So we,
Would the assessor like to?
only, mainly about the expenses, the fact that they choose not to, like every other property that's based on income in the county actually has an accountant that creates standard statements and does standard accounting. Because they choose not to do that doesn't mean that we should accept an estimate, a pro rata estimate of expenses by parcel. I don't think that's really acceptable in this case.
So, so I got 19.5, close enough.
Yeah.
You're at a 27.3% vacancy on that 25,000 square feet.
That's about right.
And then you've assigned a 25% expense to, that $91,000 is 25% of your, you've done a 25% expense ratio. So the 15%, the vacancy, you've got, the assessor's vacancy is 27, pretty damn close. The expense ratio, where's that number? What did y'all use,
We used $880 per square
I
foot.
didn't do the math.
I don't think it
So
was
what does
a
that
ratio.
come out? What is that, 8?
It was $223,000 in expenses. We used much more than they allocated for expenses.
Divide, so I do 880 divided by the.
We also don't understand the
37.4.
pass-through, who pays the expenses here.
That's
part of kind of our
I had the same thing with park.
not understanding the statements, because is this the base rent that's provided to us? We're not saying they didn't give us the rent,
Yeah, so,
but what rent is it?
That's the gross.
right, well, but the expense ratio, the expense rate, if I take the rent per square foot of $37.40 and you've got an expense of $8.80, that's basically 24% expense ratio. Did I get that right?
24%. You're talking about what we used?
Yeah. You did $8.80 a square foot for your expense.
It's a little more than 20%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 223,000 out of 805 effective.
Or just backing in, so
Yeah.
that's the big difference. And the big difference is the rent of $19 versus 37. Because they got a vacancy, reported vacancy of 27%. Y'all are using 26.9 rent roll vacancy. Their expenses are 25%, you've got 24%. So we're just down to rents. What is the, why do you think there's a big discrepancy in that?
Because, well, first of all, when we're talking about market value, we're talking about what is, and you're talking about an income approach, you're talking about what is the market rent and what is the cap rate. So are these reported, typically, the rents we're receiving from applicants or from property owners in general are market rents. I mean, they might be contract rents that are slightly behind based on their timing and stuff like that, but it's the best information we have, so, we rely on that to be market rent. But we don't know, we've provided some information to you on market rents. Did we provide information on market rent on this one? And we don't believe that this is a true representation of market rent that they've provided. And I'm not saying that's not what they're getting. I don't believe that it's true market rent. Plus, there is typically base rent plus the
nets.
tenants will pay expenses. I haven't gotten any information that's clear on who pays the expenses.
This is gross rent. Our CAM is $3.50 a square foot. I think y'all estimated CAM higher than that. But this is gross rent and our CAM is $3.50 a square foot. And this is actual rent.
If I was getting $30 a square foot, I would not be sitting in here today.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've never seen $30 a square foot in any of our commercial centers. We are old school. Mr. Howard there has known my father for 60 years. We are old school, and maybe we're behind the times, I don't know, but I wouldn't be
We
sitting
had
here if I was.
37 a square foot.
I mean, if I was seeing $30 a square foot, I would not be sitting at this table today.
So the 37 includes the pass-throughs that we include on both sides.
Well-
And I do want to point out, we've had these exact conversations before about the United Land income approaches and the information they provided to us. We did it on the office building that they own at Injik. They came in here and argued that the $21 million value was way too high, and then the next year sold that property for $40.5 million. They came in here and appealed the property. I don't have my computer, unfortunately, to tell you, but this is PID 6224. They came and appealed the value at $1.5 million, and within the next year sold it for $2.8 million. So I'm trying to figure out what the problem is on our income approaches when it comes to United Land, because we can't seem to assess properties high enough based on the information they give us to be even half or even over half of what these end up selling the properties for. So that's where we have a real problem with the information they provide us.
Well, I give you my word, these are accurate rents.
I've already said, I
And I
believe
do
this is
resent
accurate.
this last line of
Yeah,
conversation.
what
I
what I
don't
sell
believe
things
their
for
market.
is what someone is willing to pay that day.
Why have we had a vacancy if we're under renting so much? Why do we have the vacancy
Why
that
do I
we
have
have?
25% vacancies if I'm doing something shiesty? So,
So I'm wondering why y'all don't use an accountant and report all your expenses
I
and
don't
all
like
your
to pay.
properties to
That's
the.
why, I don't like to pay.
Why
I
should
do the
we
snow,
have to?
no, stop, because getting into my business. I do the snow plow, personally, me and my son. I pull the weeds, I spray the weeds, I cut the grass. That's how I was raised, that's what my father did. And maybe I'm behind the times, but I'm not gonna change, because it saves me money in the long term. So, what I sell something for, or what my father had sold something for,
It's irrelevant.
is irrelevant. It's what I think the value is. Someone wants to pay me the going rate for that day, and it happens to be more than what they have it assessed, that's tough luck. And look, I'm fighting six tax assessments out of 25 to 2,700 acres. I don't know how many parcels we have. I'm in here fighting 6, because I just don't agree that they can randomly start raising lots 25% every year, 40% one year and then 25% the next year. That's why I'm in here, because that's what I do. I go through every tax bill that comes in my office, and I mainly look at the percentage. And if it's a residential lot the last 4 or 5 years, we're not gonna win that one. I'm not in here fighting on a residential lot. Well, I'm getting ready to. But right, but when my rents have been flat since before COVID, and I see them raising things, what they're raising them, come on, guys. I'm not Barracks Road. I don't get $30+ a square foot. I don't even know what they're getting now. You know, I'm not Barracks Road. I'm little old United Land Corporation that's got 5 employees. So I just.
And so now we've got to have our accountant come in and do an accounting for each one of our shopping centers. And then we've got to hire somebody to break out how many bags of salt we use at each one and how long we pull the weeds at each one, instead of just having one accounting of all of our expenses for all of our properties. We have no
My accountant
partners.
has told me I'm
We
not
don't
breaking
have
any laws.
anybody to, if we had partners, yes, we would have to have certified reports. We don't have partners. It's us. So now the county is trying to make us add another, whatever, an accountant would cost to come in and set up each one of our businesses. And like I say, then we'd have to have at least one more full-time employee to break down all of what we do. I mean, come on, guys. You know, I'm giving you the rents. I'm giving you my best estimate of the breakdown of our expenses. You know, but I can't, well, we're not, I just can't believe that the county has gotten to the point that you have got to have a certified income and expense report to give to this county.
So I just responded to 2 things.
Please.
Just want to make clear, I'm not saying, you made the comment a shyster. I'm not saying that they're doing anything illegal or anything like that. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the information they're providing is not usable for market value. It's difficult to use for that reason. And I gave those examples because it was the same arguments. This is what we were getting. Actually, in some of those, they wouldn't even get us anything. So, you know, it's just differences. But the other thing, so we are not saying, the county is not saying that a certified statement needs to be provided. State law says that a certified statement needs to be provided. So it's not something that we've even pushed in this case. But it was added to state law years ago that the owners of income-producing properties would provide a certified statement. And now, that doesn't mean that it was necessarily done by an accountant, and we're not asking them to do that. I'm asking you and the United Land to understand that because of that, it kind of creates some uncertainty in that it doesn't make our numbers wrong because their numbers are different. We're not asking anybody to hire anybody or do anything differently, but these statements are supposed to be certified, and they think the definition of certified is that an officer of the organization signs it and says it's certified. Now, it's up to them to decide that not having an accountant is fine for them to be okay signing it as certified. So we are not asking for that. We're just saying that in order for us to make this information usable, we need to adjust it to what the market actually shows. So that's it.
And I gotta go back to the rents.
Okay.
Where is that? 37.4, is that a,
That's full service, that includes the
That's
nets.
full service.
That's a full service.
And then we
Okay,
take
correct.
the nets out below.
Yeah,
after
So
the
it's
vacancy.
3179, I believe is the number that you're using.
Which I'm not anywhere close.
you're taking out
880 is what we estimated.
3179 income per square foot.
And we are 1989.
Good year.
And that includes camp,
That includes camp.
the 19.
That's gross. It's gross rate.
Your 19.5 includes CAM?
I thought you said it was
1989.
19 plus the $3.
I thought the
Includes the
CAM was
350.
350.
The
Right,
CAM is 350.
but it's not in the 19.5.
It is.
So
At
you're-
Holly Town Center, it is. We worked with some tenants during COVID that are still trying, and we've got the same thing at North Town Center. We've got a tenant right now that is on the verge of filing bankruptcy, so we're working with them. We can. And so we do help people out when we think they've made every effort and they've got issues still. So, you know, we have some subpar rents, but we should not be taxed because we're trying to do some good things for people. So
I have tenants that have been with us for
35 years.
I am going to do what I need to do to help that tenant survive. And we are still, and maybe it's a bad business decision, but I think it's the right decision for a tenant that's been with me for 30 years
We do it too.
to take care of them. And you know what? I'll get my karma one day. I don't, good or bad, but it's had to. I would not be sitting at this table today if I was getting upper 20s and $30 rents.
So your expenses, the $91,000, if you divide that by the occupied, not the 25,000.
David, I'm not sure.
Well, if
I
you get
know-
it, it's $5 a foot if it's the occupied space.
Yeah, I think maybe I divided it by the entire space. I'm not sure. I really can't say which way I did
It's
that.
3.65 if it's occupied, if it's the total space.
Yeah.
But I'm just
I
trying
mean,
to get, I'm just trying to get my head around the expenses
And
that are included in your
basically-
37 versus the 19.5, which actually includes.
okay,
Vacant space.
And then you got this 5%, 3.65 that is your expenses for operating, but that's not snow plow or any of that other stuff.
it is.
That's CAM.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm thinking camp, yes.
So the 91 is what things? It's the overhead. I'm
Well,
just trying to get my head around.
actually,
I
that,
think we're still, I think there's still this chasm, for lack of a better word, between the rents they're getting and the rents y'all are using in your program. Even if we pull all the expenses out to try to make sure we get apples to apples. I'm curious as to where you're coming up with the starting point of 37 out there. And I
That's-
do mean out there.
That's full service with the,
Okay,
okay, so we have to get to full service before we can deduct
I get,
for
I got it.
vacancy. So that was full service,
Right.
including the reimbursements.
And that was the area at Airport Road.
That was the
Within
area
1
within
mile,
a
you say
mile
what-
of the
what 1
subject
mile?
property, correct?
just tell me which tenants are paying that.
That's
Oh.
confidential information.
Full service, what do you mean by that?
The base rent plus the reimbursements.
Full rent, I mean, not
So
electricity,
CAM.
full service normally means electricity, water, sewer.
It's in the retail, it's gonna be the base rent plus whatever the tenants reimburse to the landlord. Taxes, insurance, repairs and maintenance.
Y'all getting any of
Common
that?
area.
You just get 19, whatever it is.
Plus 350.
Plus,
So,
I'm
wait,
sorry. 19 includes the 350.
Yeah.
1989 includes the 350.
so
And your expenses were what?
Was that
$16 a foot.
by the total square footage or the rented square footage?
What's that?
The 19. The total income,
The 1950 is I did the occupied footage, not the 25.
That's right. $1,989.
I'm still. $37.50, less $8.08, that's your reimbursement. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's 28.7. What else do we take out to try to get
Replacement reserve,
4%?
4% of EGI.
Which is, any chance that there's a calculation for that in the math already, per square foot? You just took out 32,000
32,227.
divided across the 25, or the, well, that's not.
No, it's just
that
4%
doesn't work
of
out.
effective gross, yeah.
So that's 1% would be, what we're talking. Well, 4% of the 37.
4% of effective gross, which effective gross was 805,686. That's where the 32,227 comes in.
Is that the effective gross on the price that you thought they were getting?
That's based on our income approach,
How
on
much
page
is-
5.
How much a square foot?
3740 full
And
service.
they're getting 19?
Well, that's full service. The 37, the 31 is after, the 31 is what should be compared to our 19, in my way of thinking. Is that correct, Deb?
No.
No?
So I'm down to 27 too, because the 4% is about $1.50. Did I do that right?
Correct. It's almost that.
The 37 that you gave for full service rent in that area, those are businesses that did report
Yes,
all their information.
yes.
In this general area
In
of
this general
29
area.
north.
And it's within 1 mile of that location, is that what you said?
That is correct.
Well, I sure would like to
On
know
the
where they
road?
are.
On 29?
Within a block of 29.
Yeah.
Who were some?
I
They're all
Who is
tied.
it?
I can't
We can't,
disclose
yeah, we
other
can't
tenant
disclose that in this
information.
meeting.
Or at all, actually.
A somewhat related question. Looking at the figures on page 5, their vacancy rate over the 5 years has been as high as 40%, and now it's at 26.9. That's what they report.
Right.
But in your model, you use 15%.
We use 15.
Why? Why?
It's based on our shopping center model.
So we found, in general, that properties do not sell based on their actual vacancy if they have high vacancy. But they do sell based on a higher vacancy than market. So we have in our
Page
in our
18.
model, it's unusual vacancy.
It's down at the bottom of page
here.
18.
So it's basically a schedule. So, with the exaggerated example, if a income producing property was completely vacant, it would not sell for zero.
Right.
Because, you wouldn't reduce it to a zero, an income. So the maximum we use is 40% reduction. And the maximum we use is 25% reduction is for any property with more than 40% vacancy. And then we have a schedule that, we use market if you're between 0 and 10, which is 5% vacancy. If you're between 10 and 20, we use 10. If you are between 20 and 30, we use 15. That's where this property fell. And then between 30 and 40, we use 20%. So it's just a schedule that,
Can I ask if these are new leases?
the ones we're talking about.
No, the data. you got
The backup
from-
data, yeah.
Mhm. Well, they're within a mile of the property.
But are they
Are
new
they
leases? Yes. or-
Not all,
No.
no.
Because I do notice that in 22 to 23, there was a $10 per square foot jump in your assumed base rent.
Oh,
At this chart on page 5. And I asked that just because your leases might leases are coming on in the last couple of years, and it's higher
It's
now.
back on the 2022. The
$10 for
revenue.
what?
The revenue between
Estimated
2022
retail rate.
and 2023. It went
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Air.
Oh, the change
Change
from
24,
24, oh, I was
66,
looking for
33.
$10. It's a difference of $10, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
or thereabouts.
Yeah, they're-
Correct, yeah, this would have been a realization, I can't remember when Deb came to
I
work
wasn't
with us.
here.
You weren't here yet at that.
Sorry.
That the rent we were using was too low, based on the comparable information that we had. So, we were, I don't know where the 2466 came from in the 2020 year, but it's basically a recalculation or a re-look at the market rents to determine, what we thought this one should be at.
Well, you know, for our rent to be so subpar, it seems to me that we would be full.
So if you take out the expenses, it's only 3 years ago, if you take out the I understand the deductions are $4 in that year, I get it, in 2022. You still use the 4%, you're down into the $15 range, which is comparable to what they're reporting. So we could have new data, people are signing higher leases, and you still have older leases that you're stuck with for 5, 6, or whatever the terms are, whatever they are.
Dominoes.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around the difference. And, you know, I think it's a combination of older leases, newer information. Like, that's why I asked. The information you're getting from people within a mile is giving you the starting point of $37. How old are those leases?
There was,
And when were they signed?
it all depends. I mean, there was significant number of
But you can see how
leases I
I'm,
looked
what I'm
at.
talking
I
about.
understand.
They're skewing.
And we use the median of them.
Again, I'm trying to wrap my head around the big difference.
Yeah, and I'm
I've
trying,
asked a lot of questions.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it too, and it seems to be a difference between current
Mark,
income
you know,
and potential income.
What we believe is market income.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of the difference here between the applicant and the assessor.
Well, I think there's something that's, I don't know who it is or what it is, but something is skewing the numbers for that area. Because the area of North Town Center, which we're also gonna be discussing, you know, that, I think your average there was $22 a square foot.
22 and then.
So that's closer into town, and so that's 22, and which is commensurate with
Can
what
I-
we're
can I
doing.
make
But
a
it's not an
suggestion?
anchored center.
But anchors
You
usually
should,
don't
you
have.
should call out restaurant square footage. It's not the same thing as retail. Because the landlord usually puts up a bunch of money, you sign a
Yeah.
10 or 15-year lease, you get it paid back.
Get advertised.
So I'm just, if there's some restaurants in there, they will skew that number higher,
Something's skewing the number.
you know. Tenant outfit, that kind of thing. I'm just-
Well, that's a good thought, because like I say, I just know something's skewing it.
I'm intrigued by the next one about the other.
What would you have to do then, make a new category for restaurants to assess them?
Restaurants should absolutely be in a different category.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Can, the next one, oh, it's the next one, but the one you just mentioned about $22 base, North Town Center, which one is that? Which application?
I do wanna, if it was a question, I wanna answer your question. It was maybe half and half restaurants, maybe less than half restaurants in that list.
I mean, restaurants can be 50% 20% or more. It depends on how much money the landlord puts into the tenant outfit.
That depends on every case.
Right, but I'm saying you gotta pull that out. Like, you know, the lease, we can rent to somebody for $20 a foot, as is. If we give them $10 a square foot in tenant outfit, they're not paying $20, they're paying something else. And we put a cap rate on it and get our money back over the term of the lease, at least the first term of the lease.
And David, you're right, because BWW is our highest paying tenant,
Sure.
so
You put the most money into it,
that
probably.
skews the numbers, so, yeah.
You wanna make a motion on that?
Does anybody have a motion? Yes.
Do you need
I
a
think
calculation?
the number needs to come down because of the restaurant stuff in it, but I don't know how much, because I don't have the numbers. Like, if you pulled out the restaurant numbers and did just retail, and we came back and revisited that, I mean, it would pull it down, and it should, because the restaurants just, they're not the same thing as these spaces. But I'm not willing to reduce it to, you know, their number, because I'm not sure that that's right either. Because I think there's a lagging thing. You're getting new information yearly, twice yearly, whatever, whenever you get stuff from them. They've got leases that are 3, 4, I mean, whatever they are, they're older, and they haven't caught up with the market yet. I mean, there's gonna be a lag. Market's going up, there's a lag one way, if the market's going down, there's a lag the other way. I just think, I can't make a decision on that until I have that information.
Then,
Can that be done? Can we defer this until you can pull that information?
today,
Well, until next meeting, I don't know.
we currently don't have any more meetings scheduled.
We're trying to wrap it up.
We might have another meeting.
You gotta do your citizenry duty, people. I'm happy to wrap it up if you get the numbers. I don't know how you do that.
Okay, so what are you asking for then? Just
Pull-
out of our
pull
list of
out of your list of
comparables,
comps,
just
pull the restaurants.
non-restaurants.
completely.
Are any of these restaurants?
Just what would it be?
They've got
Got to have some restaurants.
Oh, are there restaurants in this?
Yeah, well, that was my other thing. There's the Domino's, which is
Domino's.
kinda
It's a takeout. not a restaurant.
takeout. I don't know how much they.
Domino's lease is, when did they sign that?
They've been with us they were
35
with us at
years.
Riverside Center and now Hollywood. And so they are paying more than what we're getting from some other
Yeah.
people, but only
Our
most of
Domino's,
us.
our extra cost was to bring extra utilities in. They did their own tenant outfit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
they did.
we gave them
Can you serve
Did
it?
some.
minimal, but it wasn't like a real restaurant, like,
No, you're right.
It's not a sit-down restaurant, yeah.
No, I mean, they pay a slight premium, but
Well,
a
well,
slight
Can
premium.
I take a break real quick?
What's the what Peter did
Yeah.
have as the
Yeah.
assessment for 2025? 13 what?
13.
We'll take a break for about 5 minutes, and then we'll
That
come
sounds
back,
good. And we'll
and
see if
then
we
we'll come
can,
back and vote,
see if we can come
All
up
right.
with this
see if we could,
information.
get everything straightened out. Shall we end the recording?
Yeah, can you pause it?
Residential lots.
I get you a gavel.
like, you know, hydraulic
Yeah.
dialogues, and there's.
Okay, we're resuming the Board of Equalization meeting for
Oh, yeah.
That's not-
Monday, June 16th.
You start
We are
there.
still on application number 27, Route 29 LLC, regarding PID number 4735. And does anybody have further motions or questions?
Well, wait, did we get more
Get the numbers?
information?
Yeah, I do
We're
have
waiting
more-
on some
I do
more
have
information.
Yes, so that's what I
Thank
was spending some time with Deb doing. So, we removed a few from the list that were restaurants, so we're down to just retail.
Or similar,
But, yeah,
not
Or
not
similar,
necessarily
right.
full service
Yeah.
or sit down.
so we have basically 11 gross rents that range from $20.28 to $58.62. And so I have two different sets that I'm gonna tell you, so I know
Are you
that
pulling the high and lows out?
in a second. So just based on all 11, the median is 3181, and the average is 3449. So we do realize that some of those are pretty high rents. They would adjust the average more than anything else. But so just all I did, instead of excluding both top and bottom, I just excluded the top. So.
Is that where there was a grouping? That was
There were-
high?
yeah,
So
there
when you
were-
got low,
that
the rest
were-
of what, there wasn't like a
There were
$10 one?
$18 above the next lowest one, those two
Yeah,
top
that's-
ones.
yeah, that's
So
something going
I'm
on there.
excluding those. So now we're from $20.28, there are 9 of them, up to $37.47. And the median now is based on those 9, is $29.53. And the average is $29.74. So I don't know if that gives you kind of some numbers.
And all of those restaurants are within a mile.
Those are just
Those are not-
retail,
those-
non-restaurants, and they're all
non-restaurant.
within
a mile.
right.
So then if you pull out the effective, the 880, and then pull out the 4%, to try to get,
What do you get down to?
yeah, just for their,
So we figured out that was about $1.50 for the 4%.
yeah.
So there was, that's 9, a little over 10.
The 880 is inclusive of a management fee, so we don't have to make an adjustment on that. It's just a 4% replacement reserve, which you would calculate.
Well, you're
about
trying to back
$1.50.
into their numbers,
Yeah.
right?
So you, I
Be
think
about
it's
$10.
$10.
So from 29 down to 19. Is that correct?
Which is close,
Ballpark.
which is not perfect, but close. All right, so could you jump ahead and, if we stuck in 2950, let's just pull the number out of our ass.
We haven't done that because we'd
At
have to go
full-
through some calculations and we'd have to redo it, but if you have a number we would like to use, if the board has a number we would like to use to come up with a calculation of the income value based on that number, then we can certainly do that.
Okay.
So instead of starting at 3740, we would be starting your calculation at 29.
29, I just said 2950, but something,
Why don't we just use 30?
sure.
Okay.
Is-
The
Is that-
calculation
is
would
that
be
fair?
the same, no
Yeah,
matter how,
yeah.
whatever number the board would like to.
But you just
consider.
start at that point and
Yeah.
then run your calculation and see where you end up.
And the
Yes.
30, to get to their 14, 15, 16, 19, whatever, would be, you'd have to, from that 30, take out things, about $10 or so, to match their expenses.
Which we're doing in the model.
Yeah, I know, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make it clear.
You're trying to
that
tie it to-
You're not, we're not saying you're getting $30 a foot, or you should be getting $30 a foot.
Right,
It's 30 us.
you're adjusting it, right, yeah, I got you.
Do you need a motion to start the calculation at $30 a square foot?
Yeah,
Anybody want a motion to,
I'll make that
Start
motion
the
to redo the calculation, replacing the 3740 starting point at $30.
are we on 27? I wanna make sure I'm right down.
yeah,
And
we're
then-
on,
Yes, yes.
we're on number 27. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second, or Bill, you.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we are recalculating the estimated retail rate from $37.40 to $30 on PID number 4735.
And then we'll come up with,
Then we'll have a number
we'll come
that
up
we
with an
can-
assessed value once they run the model.
Right.
Thank you, Frank.
Oh, you don't have Billy calculate this. 4%.
Where's that page?
Yeah, that seems fair.
Does that make sense? All right.
Okay.
I don't think we have a number yet.
Not yet, give us a sec.
Oh, you're gonna actually do it, okay. I
Should
thought-
Oh, yeah,
we,
we're actually
I
doing
mean, you
Yeah.
can send that to us if you want to, you don't have to do
We
the
need to
calcs
vote
now.
on a
I'm
number.
supposed to write a number in here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, I think we're curious what it will
Okay.
turn out to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd like to know.
Yeah, I think the
Well, we
board
would
generally
do-
wants to pass a motion on a value, not on
Yes.
a
Yeah.
Too bad
process.
you don't have your computers you can plug into an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Whatever the 30 brings you, that's.
Oh, yeah, where are the
Exactly.
computers?
Somebody logged on to the wrong website.
Is that what it was?
That's an
That's
assumption,
my
and it
guess.
is not,
Yeah.
it is not the,
So everything's.
nothing we know.
Somebody from China's asking for that,
I think that's it.
or Iran, they should pay for something.
Alright, so 423 gets me down to, okay, so I need that
So you
number.
need 4%.
After seven, I thought you were.
I didn't see the menu.
Times, oh, sorry.
Iran's
Minus
good.
30,000.
Yeah, that's your potential bonus, right? So you need to take it off the
No,
EGI.
that's the EGI. Isn't it?
No.
Oh, no, you're right, you're
Yeah,
right.
you need to take it off of the 646, 272 is EGI.
Back to when they collected it, those reloaded people, but it's still not.
I just need to call circular reason. We raised one of these, so we gotta raise you. It's 23, what we did. 245. That, to me, that's just circular. That's how you just keep dropping it up. My mother used to say, you can't fight the city. It's a city. She always said that. Their city.
Yeah.
That's how I describe it.
What is, you know, what is that number? I can't read it. Is that 550?
That's 550.
Oh, okay, I thought it was 350. Okay. That wasn't gonna help. Divided by 0.075. 5,298,600.
We gotta come up, we have to come up with a value.
295.
No, it's the same
Okay,
as my
298.
Or just,
600, okay. And then we're gonna add
And we're adding 61,
74 for the land not supporting.
Correct.
Yep.
And that's the only thing we have, right?
Mhm.
So, 92,98,600 plus 6,174,900 equals 473,500. Okay, so this is what I've done. I replaced the 3740 with $30. And then recalculate all the numbers down to the NOI and and then divided it by the same cap rate of 7.5. We, instead of 7,339,100, we are coming up with 5,298,600. And then, of course, the total value would include the excess land of the same 6,174,900. And the total value would be 11,473,500. And that
That's a
is
big
a
change.
difference, if we wanna know, of 13, almost 2,514,000 minus 11,473,500 equals $2,040,500.
So,
Do we need a
somebody needs to
motion?
read the number.
yeah, do we have a motion?
I have the number written down.
Go ahead and make the motion then.
Do we have a
I didn't write it
motion?
down.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will make a motion. The land value, this is for application 27, the land value will stay the same at 8,000,000.
6 million.
No, the
Land
excess
value.
land,
Land
well, that's only the
The
excess.
total land value is
Total
It's
land
only-
value,
That's
it's
it.
8
That is
million.
correct.
Oh,
including the shops. Yeah.
So the land, so the improvements need to go down.
The improvements will be the only thing that goes down in the
But
back
how much?
by the
2,040,500.
Somebody want to give me that number?
2 million.
Oh, no, no, no. You have the difference,
need to-
you just need
Oh,
the,
sorry.
what the
I need the
improvements
land
would
and
be.
the improvement.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
All right, I'll calculate it for you. So the
But some of
improvement
this-
is currently.
Some of this 5.2 million is just land.
Right.
550,37100 minus 20,220,40 the improvement value would now be $3,462,600.
Would you say that again, please, Pete?
$3,462,600. That's just the improvement value,
Okay,
based on the new calculation.
okay.
Got it. Okay, so,
And the land is,
this land stays,
Land stays at,
is that right?
8,010,900.
oh, okay.
So I make a motion that we change the assessment for PID 4735 to a land value stays the same at $8,010,900, and the improvements changed to $3,462,600 for a total of $11,473,500.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a question. Are you gonna have to go back and pull out, for future assessments, pull out restaurants from shopping centers now?
No, we will, not necessarily.
No.
We will just look at this property again next year based on the information we're given.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of reducing the assessment on PID number 4735 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Then we're gonna move on down to application number 28. Six Star Associates LLC appealing 431 and 435 Gander Drive, PID number 9425. Would y'all like to talk about the property at Gander Drive, please?
Yes. We're not asking for as much as what we were, because I found out that I made a mistake. United Land doesn't pay rent, so United Land was not included in any of the numbers. And even though we don't pay rent to ourselves, that's a value. So I made that mistake. So anyway, the only thing, the net rentable area is actually 29,091, and we actually had in 21,000.
591.
Yeah, 591. So that's the only adjustment that we're asking for, because it came in at like $22 a square foot. The reimbursables were a little higher than ours, but overall, it is in line with our rents and our expenses. So the only thing that needs to just be adjusted is the net rentable square footage.
Assessor's office.
The assessor's office, please?
Do you want me to go through it with the old numbers or the new?
Go with the new numbers.
Okay,
If
can
you-
you hand me that?
Oh, sure, which,
That's spreadsheet.
this spreadsheet.
Yeah, so we changed the net rentable area based on Nina advising us on Friday. And so we now have a base rent at $22 per square foot for a total base rent of $640,002 versus the $651,002 that's on page 4 of your handout. And recoveries, we kept at $4.25 per square foot. The difference is now, recoveries are now $123,637. So potential gross revenue is $763,639 versus the $776,764 that we had before. We still applied a vacancy collection loss of 5%, so that's minus $38,182. For effective gross income becomes $725,457. The expenses were CAM charges at $4.25 a square foot. We estimated admin and general at 20 cents a square, repairs and maintenance that would not be reimbursable at 50 cents a square, and a management fee at 4%. Also, we included a replacement reserve of 4% of EGI it brings it down to a net operating income of $523,420. And at a grade 3 retail cap rate of 8%, the value concluded is $6,542,700.
And just to remind you that we actually reported a value and currently have an assessment of $5,303,800. We're asking the board to increase the value to that 6 million number that.
$6,542,700.
All right,
Um,
explain it to me a little bit better, I'm not quite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So when they report their rent to us, they weren't reporting United Land because they're in their own building. But we have to assign or impute a market rent.
Okay,
So we went and we looked at the market and we said it's $22 a square foot.
so the square footage went up.
So, but then in addition to that, Nina's square footage went down.
Just by
Yeah.
400 square
By
feet,
400 square feet.
nothing significant.
So we were asking to correct the record previously, and then she sent me an email on Friday and said, oops, we have 29,091, so I redid the numbers at home this weekend.
So you haven't done anything except just plug in the new number?
Correct.
Correct. So if you look at
But they
page
increased-
2 of our packet, it's just what they returned to us in our request for information for the income amount. And on this list, they provide each of the tenants, including United Land and the square footages, and then they provide a total rent. But we didn't know until recently that total rent didn't include United Land. So that's kind of where some of this change comes in. So adjusting for that is part of the reason why we're asking for a higher number based on the more correct information that was provided. Or at least clarification of the information that was originally provided that needed to be adjusted.
Would the applicant like to respond?
No, I mean, I still think it's worth more, worth less than what they got, but I can't argue with these numbers. Would like to. but I
So they
can't.
count their space as rentable space, even though they're not getting any money, but they are getting the benefit of being there.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
why you
So this is completely
threw
different.
that rent in there.
Yeah, this is completely different than just vacant space.
Mhm.
And when we still give some credit to vacant space, some credit, with an owner-occupied space gets full credit for, a tenant would be there and would be getting at least the average of what everybody else is getting.
What's the average that all the other tenants are paying in
Is
there?
that $22, I think?
I think it's 22.
Yeah, it was very close to 22.
22?
I
Correct.
think you were pretty close.
So you gave them 22?
Yeah.
Correct.
I had rents in the area of $22.34 to $26.20, and they were at 22, so I went with their 22.
Correct. So we're using their actual numbers in this,
Yeah.
on this shopping center.
Yeah.
We actually were $20.13 on the other tenants, but, I didn't really argue with your 22.
So what's the new number that you want to change it to?
So you're
Yeah.
taking us up on this one.
$6,542,700.
Does anybody have any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we change the assessment to $6,542,700 on application number 28.
Do we have a second?
Wait a minute, that's a different,
Yes.
say it again.
$6,542,700.
Are we land saying the same improvements? Can you give me those numbers?
The land would stay the same, and then the improvement, what is the land?
I can do the math in a minute.
Oops.
2,247,600.
6,542,700. $4,295,100.
$4,295,100.
Correct.
On the motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Thank you.
Hanson, take it away.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna continue on to,
Some get rained out.
application number 50, I believe. Boulders View LLC. A vacant parcel.
Is it, parcel number 2019?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one, we're just really appealing the acreage. We have had a survey done on the property.
Well, we don't officially have the survey.
But it's in process and there's less acreage than what we're getting taxed at.
Is it the same as the,
I'm sorry.
is it the same as the letter that you got?
Lincoln from Lincoln surveying.
Well, we
Well,
got a letter,
so-
but he's also doing a survey,
He did a,
boundary.
basically he went and gathered all the plats from the surrounding things
Did it
for
come out?
properties and kind of did it reverse. And he's got an estimate, I think, in that letter. But we're actually having him survey it exactly, just so we know.
So he went back to the courthouse records and
Yeah.
found the
And
parent
came up
tract
with
and then subtracted
50
all of the
7 acres or something, 50, I can't remember the exact number without pulling up the email.
56.75.
So I think the county had it at, I forget what y'all had it at.
But we changed it based on that information that you gave us.
We made the change.
And we sent you a new notice based on that value
I
change.
don't think we got that letter.
I mean, the value actually went up from that change,
58
because
acres.
if we want to get into it and we can talk about
Okay.
how we did it.
I don't think we got that one, Pete, so
I don't
maybe
think
let's,
so.
yeah, I don't think we got it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's discuss that one.
Okay, if you're ready, then I can just go through and explain it.
Please,
So
yes.
I wish I could actually show you this one, but you do have in your, what page is this? Page 3 of our packet. It shows you the two different parts. So basically, the one at the top of the page on the north is, we believe, and they would say, is not developable or improvable. We don't have a home site on it. We value it based on residual land only.
This
Did
is
we
what
skip
part B.
31? I've got an application
No, we're on
31.
50.
I know.
You skipped over 31.
Did I skip
Oh, we must
31?
have skipped 31, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Which one, skip 31?
I don't see 31.
I got
It should be under tab 7.
It's in my packet.
Yeah, we have 31 also.
Yeah, we wanna do 31.
Oh, I'm looking at the, I'm sorry, I'm looking at
Oh,
the
it's out of order.
schedule from,
Good to go.
Okay.
Do you want to do 50 or
It
31?
doesn't matter which one we do.
It doesn't matter to us.
Yeah.
You're referring to parcel B, correct?
Oh, yeah, so if we're talking about,
Number 51.
Number 50, then we're talking about section B
Okay.
of this parcel,
Okay.
yes.
okay.
Okay, so I wanna make sure everybody's
Yeah.
on the right page now.
Oh, so we're on 50.
50's long.
We're on
So we're
50.
doing application 50.
50,
Hearing number
right.
7, application 50. And then we'll go to 31 after that.
Okay.
So, Pete,
All right, so like I was saying, this is broken in, we call it A and B. So B is the part in the back, it's got steep slope, it's access issues, it's just residual land. Right now, as far as we know, it's not developable, and we have kind of a relatively low value based on that, on all of those criteria. So B is 56.75 acres based on the letter from the surveyor, and the majority of it is critical slope and non-buildable. we have no home site, just a residual value with an adjustment of minus 90% for topo. Therefore, the value of this area is 64,700 based on that information. However, the front parcel, which we refer to as A, is usable. We have a home site on it, and just a 2 acre, we're not calling this development land or anything like that. It's just a home site it's 34.9 acres. So it's basically like any other 34.9 acre parcel in the county, the way we adjust 2 acre home site plus residual. And then we adjust it for size and topo based on those criteria, the way it actually lays out. Overall, this section is valued at $413,600. So what I was explaining, that the value changed slightly, increased slightly, and it's very slightly, I can't remember the exact amount, but the actual survey information that we received said that the back part was smaller and the front part was a little larger. And because the front part is more valuable, that increase based on the increase in acreage caused the overall value with a slight increase, the decrease in the back that was less than the increase caused a net increase. I don't remember the amount. I want to say it was just like
$5,800.
$5,800. Okay, that sounds about right.
Yes.
Yeah, 5,800. That was the total increase. So the new value that is being appealed today is $478,300. And it's based on that criteria. So
And we're not saying that the total acreage changed, only the acreage in the two parcels.
the total acreage did change, but the acreage of each section changed.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this RS1, RS2 section, parcel B?
Parcel B is just, is it RS1 or RS2? I don't think I wrote that down. I assume it's RS1. Do we have it?
Whatever it
Might be.
was, that's what you used.
No. Because the detail was right here.
Shouldn't they have?
Oh, do you guys have it?
It doesn't really matter, I was just curious.
I believe it's RS1.
Would the applicant like to respond?
Well, we understand the breakdown now, which has been helpful, I think, to them and to us.
The 67 acre.
The top, it's not that big a number, but I really don't think it's worth $1,200 an acre because you can't get to it. But anyway, that's not really our big argument. I think the bottom part, although it is a big lot, it's 35 acres, I haven't seen sales go through for $413,000. Even though it's big, it's still one lot. And so $413,000 for one lot is pretty high in Albemarle County. So, I just think it's a little bit high for a valuable piece of land if you could do something besides build one house on it. But it has no sewer, no utilities to it. $350, I would have no problem with.
If I could just say
Yes.
that no utilities wouldn't really apply for a rural area property. I mean, you do water, you do well and septic on an acreage parcel like this. Obviously, electricity would be run to it. We do have some sales that show that, these are slightly larger parcels, and slightly two larger parcels that show that people will spend $300,000 to $610,000 for a acreage parcel in the rural areas. So, I mean, we do believe that somebody would pay in the 400s for this.
Pete, are those, since we did not get that for some reason, or we don't have it right now, are those like inside a subdivision, or are they standalone parcels?
These would just be rural area parcels.
Can you tell me where they were?
And we
The
can't,
bigger ones?
we can't say whether actually.
I mean, you don't have to give me an
Oh,
address.
no, I mean, I don't have an address. I don't know, where are these, Billy?
Like, if there was in
American Area
Monora.
130.
Are you talking about the sales?
Yeah.
One's on Fox Mountain Road.
One's on Fox
Brown's
Mountain,
got
it's in the
Turnpike.
packet. One's
Yeah.
on Fox Mountain, one's off
yeah.
Whitehall Road, and one's down south of Batesville and Craigstone.
There you go.
Okay, so they sound like standalone lots that are not,
Right.
you know, part of a subdivision, okay?
Right,
Okay,
and they sold between 250,000 and 610,000.
okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
This is on top of that ridge, the U-shaped
No.
ridge up there.
It's right behind Briarwood
Yeah,
and GE,
yeah, yeah.
Right on Pine Mountain.
Yeah, I'm.
right below North Pines,
Right above North,
yeah, right below.
goes up to, goes up to the FAA tower.
It's the downhill side of Pine Mountain.
Yeah, section B is.
So the buildable area is that ridge that kind of runs off to the northeast, west.
No,
No.
that's section B, there is no buildable area in section B.
Section
Section
A.
A
This is what
I
you're.
got you.
is the piece at the bottom in front of North Pines and behind Briarwood,
I see, okay.
which we tried to get zoned for Briarwood years ago, but we couldn't get it zoned.
Well, there are some houses up on that mountain behind that.
Yes.
There are some houses, yes, but this piece has no access.
A does, B doesn't.
B does not, A does, yes.
It was all original part of, went all the way to the University Research Park in the seventies when my father bought it. And this is just a residual piece off of it that somehow got landlocked.
Yeah, when we,
Through the dividing of North Pines and everything, just looks like it's got
there was no easement given.
quirky, freaky thing happened and we are where we are.
There's an owner who doesn't want to give us access.
Anybody have any more
Mr. Shelley's
questions?
aware
Have
of
you
that.
pursued that more with him?
We have, he doesn't want to give us access.
Any more questions? Do we have a motion?
Number 50.
Yeah, application number 50, Boulders View LLC.
I'll make a motion, we approve the assessment of $478,300 on application number 50.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Abstain? Mr. Howard abstains. Thank you.
So we're going back to tab number 7.
Let's go back to,
Application 31.
31.
Number 31, is that okay? Sorry about that, I didn't do them in order.
No, you,
There's no real order to these necessarily.
So this is application number 31. Next Generation LLC, vacant parcel off Pritchett Ridge Lane, PID number 6337. And would the applicant like to talk about this?
30-acre parcel, they reduced it $7,600, $8,000 on the first go-around. It still puts it in about 10,000, a little over 10,000 an acre. The lower piece of what we just did, we did at 60, into 6,000 something. The parcels around it, while one of them is high, which I just don't know why we didn't fight that one, but we'll do that another day. You got one section, 3336 is a little over 5,000 an acre. 3335A is $4,800 an acre. Just think that 10,000 an acre is too high for that, and a 25% increase in a year. Not to mention there was a 40% increase the year before that. Just at some point, nobody, and I sound like a fool, but nobody will be able to afford to live in Albemarle County if we continue this process of what we've been doing.
The assessor's office, please.
Okay, so, as the board knows, we don't really work in, how much things change from year to year. It's really in what the sales tell us the market value of the property is. And so, Jim, you want to give us a little overview of this?
The overview of the property is, it's off, if you know where Watts Passage is, you go off 29 down Watts Passage. You go, I'm trying to think of the fellow's name. Four Lawns Drive, maybe Tom Four Lawns developed that. A little bit past that is this parcel. It's off of, there's a private road called Pritchett Ridge Lane. This does have a little bit of frontage on Watts Passage. But halfway down, I'm trying to see, you don't have it in your, halfway down, there's a split in the property with an easement. And that easement goes to another adjoining property off to the right, which would be to the west. So,
And that's on our third page.
you have it in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you can see the split in the subject property.
Actually, I've got a map too, if anybody.
Yeah,
Oh, is
I
it
just
in-
don't,
It's on, it's in there.
Okay,
I just don't have one in front of me, right?
You say a split.
It's an easement.
There's an easement divides that 35E into basically two separate
It's,
pieces of
yeah,
property.
it divides one parcel and it's all assessed as one parcel with the easement going through the middle of it off Pritchett to an adjoining property. And so what we've done is we've made adjustments for those. And let's see, I'm trying to think if I have the information. Okay. Here we go. The base rate for properties in this market area is $105,000 per acre for the home site HS1. The home site and the residuals were adjusted at 10%, as all the properties in that market area are off Watts, off 29. And then,
Upward 10%, positive 10%.
oh, positive 10%, thank you. And then the residual acreage was adjusted for size. It was given a 25% adjustment down for the easement, and then some adjustments down for the topography, and also there's an area of in the water protection restriction. And that was adjusted down also, which ended up with our value conclusion based on the sales.
Your home site base rate,
105,000,
is that for 9 acre, 2
For
acre?
2 acres.
2 acre home site,
Not per acre, just.
Yeah. for a buildable residential lot.
And you said there was an adjustment for size, but you didn't say what it was.
Oh, it's minus 2%.
2% down.
Correct.
Are these lots that you see on this plat, are these single-family lots?
No. So these are just, this is the whole parcel with that easement running through it.
Are you talking about the ones
So-
around it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The ones
Oh,
around
oh,
it
the
are
ones-
single-family
I'm
residential
sorry.
mostly,
that people are living.
depending
in.
on size. Oh, yeah, this house is, that's Watts Passage.
What do you have those valued at?
Well,
They would be
For
the
the-
same
for the land.
105,000 for the home site plus
right,
the residual of RS1 at
Is
15,
it
a little
possible
over
to do the
15.
same thing to this land?
But we've done the same thing for.
No, is it possible to divide this property into single-family homes?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We are doing all of these, this property and the surrounding properties as a single home site and then residual land. So if they're 2 acres, they're assessed at 105,000. If they're 10 acres, they're at 105,000 for the first 2, and then, I don't know, it's about 15.5 per acre for the rest of the acreage. And so the more acreage they have, they get more residual land value. So every one of them in this area will be done that same way. This just has the further reduction in value due to that easement that crosses it and cuts it in half. Or not in half, but in two pieces.
Can this property be, can it access anything behind, in other words, Injik is somewhere out in this, behind this property, can it get to that or not?
No.
No, it can't happen.
No.
No. Our value is simply based on the use of this property as a home site, as a home.
Is the frontage on Watts big enough to have an access if they wanted to?
I don't know the answer to that, except it does have frontage on Watts Passage. I don't know how wide that is. It's the piece that would be all the way down in the bottom right corner.
Right, that little point right there.
Yeah,
Well, it's where Pritchard Lane comes in there.
Yeah, Pritchett Lane.
right, but Pritchett Lane, yeah, but there is frontage along Watts Passage.
I think it's a,
But Pritchard Lane looks like it comes in right after. Is that not right?
yes.
Yeah,
The entrance onto Pritchard is on this property.
correct.
Oh, okay.
So there is,
So
there is
there's-
a entrance.
There's
Oh, there's an
definitely,
entrance
definitely access to
existing,
it.
It's
yes, whether you
accessible
could
to-
put another driveway to the front part is another issue.
You might not even want to.
Wouldn't you just use the same driveway?
You just go down Thursday.
You could, I'm just thinking, what are possibilities?
If somebody didn't want to share.
Right,
That's what I'm asking.
It's on your property, I think they don't choice that much.
yeah,
Somebody
exactly,
that shared driveways. could
right,
be
but
big
someone
too.
may not want it.
So the applicant, in your application, you say property is appraised at more than its fair market value. What do you believe the fair market value is?
Less than 10.3. I mean, you got the piece behind is obviously not, it's at 5,131, and the other piece that goes down and has a very small sliver that joins, this is the small sliver one that joins the other ones up farther. So there's another piece that joins it is 4,800. So that is, I think I can sell that lot. I don't think I can sell that lot for $300,000, but maybe I can.
So we provided you with three comparables that are smaller than the other ones we provided on the last, on application 50, because this one is a smaller total parcel. And, basically we provide a range of sale prices from $250,000 to $480,000. And the average value per acre at from 11,700 to, or 9,400 to 21,000. So we kind of show you a range of sales, range of sale prices and value per acre that brackets the subject property and shows that we believe that this is definitely an achievable value.
When you have 21 plus 21, that, it's two tax map parcels.
They were
in
correct.
in one transaction.
In one transaction, that is correct. So there would have been two home sites as part of that.
There again to what Hunter said earlier, 2023 went up 41%, 2024 it went up
They don't-
24%.
They don't deal with it.
The 60% in 2 years, I don't know how people are gonna live here. Only the millionaires will live here, so I think we better stop talking about affordable housing. You can't pay $400,000 for a lot.
Those are
and-
decisions Board of Supervisors have made for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
I agree. Been listening to it all those years with you, David.
Does anybody have any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to keep it the same.
Okay, we have a motion to keep,
No change.
What is the motion?
No change.
change at,
No change to the assessor?
$315,700. Application number 31. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
Aye, aye for me. Okay, and that is the last
That was the last one?
application, I believe, on today's agenda. Do we have anything else? Any other business?
No, so we still are pending one that it got postponed and it may or may not come back to the board. So we will let you know if one of the dates that you've already set aside will be needed for that hearing. And so I will email you all. I let the applicant know that we need to let you know at least 2 weeks in advance before that meeting so that we can, you have time to be prepared to be there.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thanks for coming.
We gotta stop
Meeting once again.
Yes, we do.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Those premium prices.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you, you can't,
We don't know how to.
Premium prices.
there's nothing